former Uvalde police officer Adrian Gonzales. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman. We'll also talk with candidate Tony Box, running to be the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. He joins us to tell us about his platform.
Plus, we'll also share a rundown of predictions we have for the upcoming year in our 2026 bingo card. And we want to know yours.
That's right. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
All that and more right here on Hello Houston after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump is paying tribute to Congressman Doug LaMalfa, a 7-term Republican representative from California who died at the age of 65.
He was the leader of the Western Caucus, a fierce champion on California water issues. He was great on water. He wanted to release the water, he'd scream at him.
A cause of death has not been released. LaMalfa's death, as well as the resignation of former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, further narrows the GOP majority in the U.S. House. At a GOP retreat today, President Trump told Republicans they would need to unify and move forward with their agenda this election year. Today marks 5 years since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. A mob of supporters of President Trump violently stormed the building and injured approximately 140 police officers. President Trump issued mass pardons to the rioters on his first day in office. NPR's Tom Dreisbach reports police officers who were assaulted that day say they are still dealing with trauma.
Washington, D.C. police officer Daniel Hodges was repeatedly attacked on January 6, 2021. Rioters punched him, kicked him, tried to gouge out his eyes, and then crushed him in a metal door. President Trump gave all of the people who assaulted Hodges full pardons. Hodges says that only adds to the damage done on January 6th.
I can't draw a straight line between this and the 6th, but I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety adjustment disorder, and PTSD symptoms.
Hodges told NPR he will keep speaking out about the insurrection to try to preserve an accurate account of what happened that day. Tom Dreisbach, NPR News.
Residents of Caracas reported heavy gunfire last night just around Venezuela's presidential palace. NPR's Ada Peralta reports it appears to stem from confusion.
On social media, videos from Caracas showed men with rifles trading fire on the streets. From their balconies, residents saw what appeared to be anti-aircraft fire streaking through the air. The government's information ministry told the Spanish news agency EFE that the gunfire was to dissuade drones overflying Miraflores, the presidential palace. The violence surfaced fears that there might be a struggle for power following the U.S. capture of President Nicolás Maduro. But earlier in the day, Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was sworn in as acting president. The Minister of Defense, Vladimir Padrino, also said the Venezuelan armed forces are firmly behind Rodriguez. Ada Peralta, NPR News, Cúcuta, Colombia.
At a federal courthouse in New York yesterday, Venezuelan President Maduro and First Lady Flores pleaded not guilty to drug trafficking, weapons, and other charges in the U.S. This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. Houston area businessman and Democratic gubernatorial candidate Andrew White says he is dropping out of the race for Texas governor.
The fact of the matter is that politics involves not just voting your ballot, but you're also voting your dollars. And we just haven't raised the money that we needed to raise to be successful.
Polls show White a distant second to State Representative Gina Hinojosa. Governor Greg Abbott is leading the Republican side as he runs for a record 4th consecutive term. Court records indicate an attorney from a Houston-based law firm is representing Celia Flores, the wife of ousted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. Flores and Maduro were captured by the U.S. during a military operation in Venezuela over the weekend. Flores pleaded not guilty in a New York court on Monday. News 88.7's Kyle McClinigan has more on her representation.
Court documents from the Southern District of New York show that attorney Mark Donnelly of the Houston-based Parker, Sanchez & Donnelly law firm is representing Flores in the case. Donnelly said in a statement The defense looks forward to presenting its side in court. Donnelly specializes in white-collar criminal defense. He previously spent 12 years at the Department of Justice, according to the law firm's website. At the DOJ, Donnelly served as a senior advisor to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District Court of Texas and ran the district's fraud division for 2 years. Donnelly, a Houston native, also served as a prosecutor for the Harris County DA's office. In 2023, Donnelly was among the lawyers who assisted in the investigation that led to the impeachment trial of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. I'm Kyle McClinigan, News 88.7.
And in sports, the Astros have signed a high-profile pitcher from Japan. Tatsuya Imai had his initial news conference yesterday in the Astros facility. He agreed to a 3-year, $54 million contract with the team last week. General Manager Dana Brown says the move was made to beef up a rotation that is likely losing its best starting pitcher, Framber Valdez, to free agency. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Lilly Endowment, a private foundation supporting NPR's coverage of religion and spirituality, and Jarl and Pamela Mohn, focusing on civil liberties, foster youth, public radio, and the arts.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
And hello, Houston. We are back again with you. 2 out of 3 of us are
Two
back
out of
with
3.
you. Frank is taking some time off. I guess he enjoyed the holidays too much, But you have Celeste and I, and we're with you. And if you want to see us, I know why you'd want to see Celeste. I'm not sure why you'd want to see me, but you can join us on YouTube. We stream there live every single day. You can find it going to HoustonPublicMedia.org and just click in the purple box.
Yes.
And they get to see us. It is the new year. We talked a lot about that yesterday, but do you make New Year's resolutions?
I love New Year's resolutions.
Do you?
I do. I do them every year. And I used to, as I was younger, I would make a long list. Everything that I wanted to change about myself. I said, everything. And now I have 1 or 2. And I keep them pretty simple. And I love them. I think there's just something really special about a fresh start with the entire world, essentially. Everybody's kind of turning the calendar page and we're moving forward together.
You said something really important there. You said keeping them simple.
Yes.
And I was looking at this because coming up in the show a little later on, we're going to have a guest who's going to help us understand why we make these and what we can do to actually hold on to them through the year and actually accomplish something. Because so often you make them and you don't do anything.
And that's why they got such a bad rap.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
nowadays
one of the
everybody's
points
like,
is keep them simple. And I'm sure he'll address that and a whole lot more. The other part of that, and I'll go back to resolutions for a minute. I made one last year. Didn't hold too well on it.
Can you tell us what it is?
I can. I'm not product placing, but it was, don't shop so much at Aldi.
Yes, okay.
They're taking all my money. So I made that resolution. I was going to go much less this past year. And I was good for a while, and then I got back into the
that's what it is, right? It's those first couple of months. I mean, it's like, for example, I work out regularly, and I've been going for years to this gym, or now a year at this gym. And now it's just packed. I'm like, okay, everybody, let's get through this month.
But they'll be gone by February.
Exactly. I'm like, let's get through this.
Do it. Well, I am going to make sure this year I shop less, spend less money. I've got so much, go through what you have. Enjoy what you have. Don't always be looking for something else. But we'll talk about that later. The other part of this, the flip side, is what we predict is going to happen in the new year. I'm more often to do a resolution than predict what I think is coming up.
I've never done a prediction.
Well, we're going to be doing it today, and we invite you to do it too. So start sending them. What do you think 2026 holds? What do you think is going to happen? Be it in pop culture, politics, in your life, in our city. Share those with us. A little later in this hour, we're going to go over what we're calling our 2026 bingo card.
Bingo card.
You can call us at 713-440-8870, or you can email them to us at talk at hellohouston.org. And we're going to be going through those. Also, you can add them to the chat over in YouTube if you want. We're following those too. And we'll compile those and share them with you a little later in the show.
Yes. I'm
Celeste,
excited.
you want to do weather? We don't have Frank here today.
I know, it's kind of interesting, right? Because usually we get a little bit of the top of the weather, but we don't really have. It's foggy outside. And as you can see,
from if you're watching us on YouTube, we've got the sky cam on and we're looking at the fog. Today's been a weird day for me. I felt very hot and humid and sticky, and now I feel cold and chilly.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have a cold. I think it's just the thermostat in here.
Yeah, we're kind of in that weird space, right? Like as Frank mentioned yesterday, where our air conditioners are not sure. Do we turn on? Do we go to the heat? Do we go to cool? So
yeah. Well, that's all coming up. Plus, Tony Box, he wants to be your next attorney general. He's running on the Democratic ticket, trying to win the primary there. He's going to be here to tell us what he's thinking. We want to know your questions for him. You'll be able to talk to him coming up in just a few minutes. But as always, we turn to the headlines of the day, and we're closer to home in today's headlines.
Yes, thank you, Ernie. It's been nearly 4 years since the tragic events that unfolded in Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary, where a gunman killed 19 children between 8 and 11 years old and 2 of their teachers. On Monday, after an 11-hour jury selection process, a jury has been selected to decide whether former Uvalde school police officer Adrian Gonzales should be held criminally responsible in connection with one of the worst school shootings in American history. Gonzales was one of the first officers to arrive at Robb Elementary. He faces 29 felony counts of child abandonment or endangerment, tied to allegations that he failed to follow active shooter training and did not take action to protect children as the attack unfolded. Prosecutors say Gonzales and other officers waited more than an hour before confronting the gunman, and a delay that investigators and families of victims have sharply criticized. Gonzales has pleaded not guilty. His defense maintains he acted as he could under chaotic conditions. This trial marks one of the first criminal cases tied to law enforcement's response that day. Should Gonzales be held accountable for not reacting sooner? What are your thoughts on this case? Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston. You can call or text 713-440-8870.
I'm really kind of torn on this one.
Interesting, yeah.
Because it's a situation none of us hopes to find ourselves in.
Correct.
Absolutely, it was not a situation any of the victims should have found themselves in. It's the criminally responsible part that I have trouble with.
Yeah.
I think he carries part of the burden of responsibility for what happened. I think the others that didn't know how to act carry responsibility. I have trouble when and I don't know why, but the classification of it as criminal behavior doesn't feel right. Do you feel what I'm saying there?
Yes, and I think that something that keeps sticking out that you're saying is didn't know how to act. And I think we need to examine the facts. It ultimately took 77 minutes for law enforcement to counter the gunman and eventually kill him. 77 minutes. Gonzales was one of the first officers to arrive, the first of 400. Gonzales knew the location of the shooter. He even, I think, they knew exactly which classroom and wing he was in. We know he had time to respond because he was the first on campus. And the didn't know how to act. I think the issue that I have there is he is a trained officer. Trained officers know how to handle active shooters.
Or should.
Our 4-year-olds in their classrooms learn how to act and are trained on how to handle active shooters if there is one present. This man failed at his job. He is there, law enforcement, to protect. And the fact that he didn't jump into action. You are trained during these chaotic times. We look to our law enforcement to know if there is anybody that should know how to act in chaotic situations. I hope it would be a police officer.
I agree with everything you've said there. I'm still a little torn on the concept of criminal. Criminal to me implies intent to some degree. And I think it was lack of ability and lack of understanding. Doesn't correct it, doesn't excuse it. Right. And I guess our system is built in such a way there's no other way to discipline other than to prosecute in this way.
I hear what you're saying regarding criminal.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're necessarily off in that regard. However, 77 minutes
it's
me
inexcusable.
to be standing outside of a classroom is criminal.
Yeah.
When you're telling officers and parents, and it's going to be very hard for the jury, and they've actually moved this trial to Corpus Christi because they are really trying to have an impartial jury. It is going to be really hard because we see so much, and there are videos where you see police officers yelling at parents. My child goes to her elementary school is in our neighborhood, where I'm sure if we heard gunshot, we would be able to hear it in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I will be damned if I arrived there and I
then
heard what was going on,
77
and parents were frantic. Criminal. That to me is criminal.
Well, we are getting response. If you'd like to join in the conversation, give us a call at 713-440-8870. You can text or call on our YouTube feed. My British computer guy says, convicted or not, it's something he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. I don't feel jail is an appropriate punishment. But then Earl Grey T-Cat says, I do. I feel it's appropriate for him because of his neglect and all the others' neglect.
And again, 713-440-8870. Let's go to Chris from Cyprus, who's on the line. Chris, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, the word and the term that I would be more comfortable with is negligent.
Yeah.
Anytime there is an emergency situation, this is why you're supposed to be training for emergency, so that when it happens, you go into autopilot and you follow through the steps and you react to cut down on time. And you know, they failed miserably at that, and you know, something like that's going to definitely weigh on their conscience. But taking it a step further, I would also hold accountable the representatives and them changing the laws to even prevent, you know, guns from falling into any and everybody's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. I'm switching my hats a little bit here now and being like, because I love to take both sides of every issue. Yes, it's inexcusable, the behavior, and they should, if they don't know better, they should react. That's what we pay them for. That's what they're there for. That is their job and responsibility. It's the same thing of a Secret Service man whose job is to protect the president at all costs. You may not like it, but when you're in that situation, your job is to get between the bullet and the president. That's what they're paid for. That's what they're trained for. A police officer, when there's an active shooter, especially in a classroom, there is it. In some ways, it's inexcusable. Nicole Joe says on YouTube, it sounds a bit like manslaughter or something adjacent.
And, you know, to Chris's point about gun reform and policy, yes. And when we look at these types of situation, number one, I think every person, when we look at this, it just makes us all sick to our stomach. Yeah. And I think that the conversation is complex. We're looking at gun reform. Absolutely. This shouldn't have never happened in the first place. Right. So we can all agree there. However, when we look at just this, it's very interesting because of the fact that they are, you know, you have prosecutors that are going for seeking to convict a member of law enforcement. And just to be clear, prosecutors in June of 2024 charged both Gonzales and Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo, the on-site commander on the day of the shooting, with multiple counts of endangerment. So it's Gonzales and Arredondo are the only officers charged. Both have pleaded guilty. I wanted to make sure that
Yes, please. And remind me if you remember correctly, because I can't. We were covering it when it happened, and for some reason it's not coming back to me at this moment. My question is, from the point that Gonzales got on the scene, did more individuals die? Or had all of the deadly shootings happened before the police arrived?
There was an active shooter going
so
on
people did
during
die
the time.
After they
he
got
was there, and it wasn't 77 minutes until they were actually going into.
Right.
Yes,
but
it was
because I know initially in these kind of situations, the initial shootings all happen at the start of the incident.
No,
and I'm wondering if he was there on the scene when because then that changes the whole thing for me from a.
It is. Again,
if someone can look that up and check that for us.
The timeline of it. I believe when you look at the timeline, there was still very much, and this is something that the parents have said, that it escalated so quickly, but it also didn't escalate to the
I remember there was
77
talk of individuals could have bled out during that time, and that was it. if they had been able to neutralize the shooter, they could have moved in and stopped it sooner.
We did receive a text. It says, "This is Jen in Clear Lake regarding Uvalde. If, for example, this were a medical situation where someone neglected care for a patient for more than an hour, they might find themselves prosecuted as well."
That's a good point,
That is
Jen.
an excellent
I like
point.
that.
We also, Earl Grey TCAT says, police are supposed to protect the people even though legally it's been ruled they don't have to. They get paid and trained for this to put their lives on the line and then run away when it happens. So I think she's kind of saying, what's the point if you're trained and then you're just going to leave?
Yeah.
I have I hold great respect and honor those families that are still continuing to advocate for their children and the 2 teachers that passed away. And when we look at this and we look at the situation, 1, it should have never happened, but 2, when it was happening, law enforcement failed to act in appropriate terms. That's just my take.
Dark One writes, did he break a law or was he simply derelict of duty? I'll have to rely on the jury for this one. Interesting story. More will come as this evolves. Let us know, again, what you think, 713-440-8870. You can text, you can call, you can email us, talk@hellohouston.org. I'm sure we will return to this story. It's devastating for that community. And the hard part is they have to relive all of this again every time these cases happen. But you want to see justice, you want to see fairness, and you want to send a message out that this cannot happen again.
Yes.
But as one of our listeners has pointed out, better gun control would probably be a good place to start with this. Not to get political there.
No.
We move on. Okay. Much lighter story now.
Move us on, Ernie.
So, of course, it comes to me. Fast food giant McDonald's has responded to a newly filed class action lawsuit over its popular McRib sandwich. The complaint, filed on December 23rd in federal court, argues that the company misled customers by marketing the McRib as if it contained actual pork rib meat. 4 plaintiffs allege the sandwich is made from ground-up portions of pork shoulder, hearts, and other cuts rather than rib meat, and that the name and the rib-like shape gives the false impression to reasonable customers. On the website, McDonald's describes the McRib as seasoned, boneless pork dipped in tangy barbecue sauce and labels it as the meat as a pork patty. In a statement, McDonald's called the lawsuit claims inaccurate, adding that the McRib is made with 100% pork sourced from U.S. farmers and that it strives to be transparent. So, what do you think?
Disgusting. I think, I'm sorry, that this McRib, number one, I do think that McDonald's should, you saying it's a pork patty? That's gross.
No, it's not. A hamburger is a hamburger patty.
Yes,
they're
but
in the
a
patty
hamburger
business.
isn't, you're not saying like a beef. I don't know. I don't know why.
Okay,
I just think
I will tell you.
Don't get me wrong. I every once in a while like to have a little fast food. I'm a millennial.
Every once in a while?
Every
once in a while, I like to have healthy food.
But
the rest of the time,
do.
I would say the part that's most shocking about this whole story is that there's meat at all in a McRib.
It's just, there's no meat in it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, even if it's pork shoulder, it is a pork product.
That's so gross.
It's called McRib. Okay, let me put it this way. Call in and tell me this. When you see an ad for a McRib sandwich, did you literally think it was pork ribs?
Yes.
Or did you just think, like a hamburger, it's just a ground up pork and it's made into a patty that looks like ribs as a cutesy, this is what it is.
The thing is, they make the rib actually look like it has bone. And
right,
so
but
I
it
bit
doesn't.
into it and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I got a bad one.
Because it didn't have any bones?
It was so, the texture was so gross. I'm pretty sure my brother loves a McRib and I still to this day say, like, I can't believe you eat that. It's so gross.
Well, my British computer guy puts a point in here. It says, surely McRib is just a name, just like a Big Mac. Does anyone think it's ground up Mac?
But it's a hamburger. A
it's
hamburger is,
just
you know what
it's
you're
called.
getting with a hamburger. The same thing with a hot dog. For the most part, we know it's gonna be a mix of things.
Yeah, we eat hot dogs. Why can't you just let a McRib be a McRib?
I don't know. The McRib, because it's shaped like it's supposed to have bone in it, like it's supposed to be hard, and the texture is all soft.
Earl Grey T-Cat says, I thought the McRib is made of rib meat, not just adjacent bits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
So some people think it. I never was fooled into thinking it was rib meat.
But I don't think that's the point. The point is that it should, it should be transparent. It should say.
But that's what it is. They're saying it's a pork patty dipped in tangy barbecue sauce. They didn't say it's select rib sections ground into a lovely form. I just think processed food to begin with, you have no idea what you're getting. After we saw theoretically what McNuggets were made with, and it turned out that was not real McNuggets, that pink slime stuff. That wasn't really what it was. But, it can be anything. You eat fast food. Love it, live, and go on.
No judgment here.
No judgment here.
But coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to talk with Tony Box, who is running to be the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Lenny Ambrose from St. Arnold Brewing Company, proud supporters of Houston Public Media. Right now, with your $60 donation, you can choose tickets to News and Brews. This member-exclusive event takes place February 17th. Enjoy a pint, connect with fellow NPR fans, and meet the Houston Public Media Newsroom in person. Select News and Brews tickets when you donate at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Compassionate, personalized, and driven by clinical research. More at stlukeshealth.org/cancer.
I want to make a movie about this.
The Arts Hour brings you film.
The themes in it are so far ahead of their time.
Books.
The detail is amazing.
Art.
There's all the personal stuff.
Theatre.
Lots of singing and dancing and colours.
Music.
The dance floor is made for dancing.
And everything in between.
I want it to be exciting.
That's the Arts Hour with me, Nikki Beatty.
I really identified with it.
From the BBC.
The Arts Hour, Friday nights at 9 on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the Clarion at Brazosport College, presenting the Westerly's Brass Quartet, performing in concert on Friday, January 16th. More information at brazosport.edu/Clarion.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celestia Sherman and Ernie Manous.
In October, Tony Box, a former FBI agent and federal prosecutor, announced that he would be running to be the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. The first-time candidate will be facing off against former Galveston Mayor Joe Jaworski and State Senator Nathan Johnson of Dallas in the March 3rd primary. And to tell us more about his platform, we welcome Tony Box to the show. Tony, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you, Celeste. Glad to be here.
And if you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
Before we get into everything that you're here to talk about,
Yes.
we were talking about Uvalde and what's going on with this prosecution, and you have a rich background in this area that's probably better educated to speak on this topic than Celeste and I, other than our opinion. Your thoughts on it?
Well, it's a very, very difficult situation. I was a SWAT guy, and I've done many raids, not quite this big, but many, many raids and responses, and it's very difficult to make these cases or make a successful prosecution. However, this is quite close because the level of neglect borders on criminality, and it could be made. Mm-hmm. And so this case, I understand why the prosecutors brought it. And one is to show the victims and their families that they were working this case, and it was close, and they decided to go forward with it.
Yeah. And just for clarity, you are not involved in that case?
I was not at all.
So just so people know, it's just your opinion on that,
Yes, that is correct.
Speaking of something you are involved with, though,
Yes.
what made you decide that AG of the state of Texas, it's right for you right now?
So I looked out at the field. I talked to people about the field, and I'm into politics. I follow it very closely. And, and then I saw the field unfold, and people started talking to me about, asking me if I was interested, and I told them no, unequivocally not. I was at a law firm, had an active practice, and did not aspire to run for office, never aspired to run for office. I haven't even run for school council before. Mm-hmm. But once I saw the field unfold and people said, we really need someone different, someone with directly relevant experience, I started thinking about it, talking to a few more folks, and then decided to throw my hat in the ring.
Do you think it is possible in today's day and age in the state of Texas for a Democrat to win this seat?
Absolutely. For two things. One is 2026 is going to be a great year for Dems. The 2025 was a great year for Dems. 2026 is going to be better. The environment is going to be good. So that is a very important contributing factor. And second of all, if you have the right candidate in a great year, you can win in Texas. And we can win in Texas.
You know, one of the campaign priorities that you have is focusing on restoring integrity in the Attorney General's office. Talk to me a little bit about that, and what do you mean when you say integrity?
Sure. I think that, well, I know that the current Attorney General has not lived up to the mission of the Attorney General's office, which means operating with integrity in terms of bringing cases that you bring and not bringing certain cases. And so that's what I mean. There's a lot of things I mean, not getting indicted and not, you know.
Oh, you mean
place
that?
to start.
Yeah, not being impeached and those things as well. But in terms of setting a culture of integrity where everyone in the agency as well as outside of the agency understands that we are impartial and we follow the facts and the Constitution is our guiding light. And so I don't think that's been done at all in this current Attorney General's office. And so I want to change that.
What about reorientating the Consumer Protection Department?
It's so incredibly important. That's one of the primary responsibilities of the AG, consumer protection. People are being defrauded. I have a personal story. When I was young, newly married, we had small children, and we put the large deposit down on furniture. That company went out of business. We thought we lost that money. We didn't have a ton of money ourselves. But the Attorney General got that back for us. They sued the furniture company. And that is the kind of thing that people don't know. People ask me, what does the Attorney General do? What can the Attorney General do? Mm-hmm. The Attorney General can work for the everyday people like that. And it was tremendous help for us, and I want to be a tremendous help for the people of Texas.
This may be a bit of an obvious question, but I think it's one that needs to be said in today's day and age.
Sure.
And I'm curious how you define the position of Attorney General. What is it? What does it do? What
Sure.
is it responsible for?
It's the chief legal officer of the entire state responsible for being the lawyer for all 30-plus million Texans, whether that means suing on behalf of Texans or defending Texas in a lawsuit.
And it's interesting because something that when we look at Attorney General Ken Paxton, he has no problem suing on behalf of Texans. And we look at this often, we see the amount of lawsuits that he's bringing forth. Some might say he really has done a great job. How do you counteract that in saying, you know, you want to work for everybody, but you seem really nice?
I don't believe he's brought lawsuits on behalf of all Texans. I believe he's brought lawsuits on behalf of his party. For example, he's sued extensively, brought many lawsuits against Biden. He's brought no lawsuits against Trump. And there have been billions of dollars taken from the state of Texas, from Trump and the administration, and he hasn't brought any lawsuits on any of those. So I think many of his lawsuits are not for the state of Texas, they're for political reasons.
Let me go to the point that to get to the point that you could become,
Sure.
you first have to win the primary.
Yes.
So there's two other folks in that race that we're looking at. How do you differentiate yourself between, in addition to Jaworski and Johnson, how do you separate yourself out?
So I think my background's quite unique, and it's directly relevant. I have prosecutorial experience. I have experience at a large law firm. I'm a litigator. I've been in arguing cases. I understand a big case when I see one.
Yeah.
And there are big cases that come before the Attorney General office, billion-dollar cases. And so that's one, just in terms of legal experience. Two is experience in a large enforcement-type organization. It's really important to understand how you interact with your staff and how you interact with the people at large, and also really, like I mentioned before, what cases to bring and what cases not to bring. It's extremely important to know that trigger that you pull on behalf of the state versus a defendant is huge. It's incredibly important. And you don't pull that trigger lightly. And I think that distinguishes me because I've been there and I've made those decisions. I've decided not to bring a lot of cases.
Right, and I think it's very interesting, right, because you have a military and law enforcement background. How do you feel like that's going to translate into this position and this role?
So in terms of the military, it's the leadership. I've been leading soldiers for well over 20 years, and I led soldiers in difficult situations. I've served in Iraq. I've served in Afghanistan, separately, not as a soldier, but as a high-level civilian. And so I've led people in difficult situations. The Attorney General office is going to be difficult. It's going to be a lot of controversy and decisions to be made. And so I believe that type of leadership experience from there as well as in DOJ will help me do well, and it will also distinguish me from the field, the Democratic field as well as the Republican field.
To go back into your definition of the AG's office, I'm curious how you see the relationship between that position and the governor, and how you work together or work separate.
So I hope, ideally, you want to work really well with the governor, and I hope that I can work really well with the government. I expect that I will. I have worked well with people of all political parties all my entire life. And so as long as we have the same goal, is to work on behalf of Texans, then we'll do well. But he's elected by the citizens of Texas, and I would be as well. And so I don't report to him. I would not report to him, and I would not do what he's told, nor would I take my direction from Washington, D.C.
Now, Tony, what do you think Texans want in an attorney general?
One is somebody they could be proud of. Somebody's ethical. I was at a conference in D.C., and a guy from abroad wanted to talk to me about Ken Paxton and about how infamous he was. And so he's known all over. So and Texans are not happy about that. I've talked to Texans every day, and they're not happy about it. So they want somebody they can be proud of. They want somebody who will be really efficient and really care about the people. And that's what they're seeking.
In this area around here, people may not know your background, your story, and there's an interesting point that kind of put you on this path back when you were 16 years old. If you could share that story.
Sure, I'll be happy to share it. So when I was 16, I was working at a grocery store as a bagger, and I helped a lady out to her car with her bags. While we were there, a guy came by and snatched her purse. I took off after him and tackled him and jumped on top of him, and while I was there, he stuck a gun in my stomach and shot me. And the bullet went in my liver and it remains in my liver. So over the course of time in the hospital while I was recovering, I thought about what I wanted to do with my life, and I decided to live a life of service. And I've been doing I've been doing that ever since. I've tried to stay on that course, even when there was other incidents. For example, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a murder for hire plot on my life as well. And so I could have easily left law enforcement and just said, look, I don't need this type of work. But I continue to serve, and that's what I want to do here as Attorney General.
Tony, why was there a hire for, tell me about that story.
Let's not bury the lead.
Well, wait a minute. What was going on there?
When I was an FBI agent, a guy was unhappy about me investigating him. He was a white supremacist, so he was upset about a couple of different things. But he was upset about that, and so he actually paid a guy to kill me. And so they foiled the plot. The director of the FBI called me and said, hey, Tony, we want to get you out of there. We want to move you out. And I said, nope, I'm staying right here. I'm finishing this case, and I'm staying in the FBI, and I'm here to serve, and that's what I'll do.
The shift from being in the law enforcement arena to the legal world, what caused that shift?
I wanted to do something different. I went to law school at night when I was an FBI agent. And so when I became a lawyer and passed the bar, I said, look, I went to law school, I've studied, I've passed the bar. I wonder what practicing law would be like. And so it was a really difficult decision. I left my buddies in the FBI, and I still talk to them. But I'm happy that I did practice law. It led me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Political arena, harder, easier than you thought it would be getting into that?
More difficult, yes.
Yeah?
yeah, definitely more difficult.
Why?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
It's one is the size of the state of Texas, and it's really important to talk to as many Texans as you can, and I want to do that. But so that the size and to be able to get my message out to all the people. You can't get everybody, but I want to, and it's difficult.
We are speaking with Tony Box, who is running to be the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870. You know, Tony, when we look at Texans' needs, a lot of the issues that come up to the forefront is infrastructure. How would you handle working and making sure that rural areas and urban areas are getting what they need in regards to infrastructure and funding for that?
Yeah, that's really important. So what I want to do is every office needs to understand that they work for the people, and we are going to establish liaisons with every single market in Texas. Large markets, mid-markets, small markets. Individuals will be out in the community saying the Attorney General's office is open for business, and we will accept your complaints and your information, and we will fight for you. For example, one of the real issues is when funding was cut from NIH and some of the grants. The hospitals were closing or on the verge of closing. Money was taken up from Texas, and it was not. Ken Paxton didn't even fight to get it back. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I say to rural Texans: you need someone who's going to fight to get the money back for the rural hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Another area that is big in Texas: border security, immigration enforcement, federal-state legal conflicts have dominated our issues here. What do you think the role of the AG is in that area and shaping those debates?
So it's predominantly a federal issue. And so for Ken Paxton and some of the rhetoric, it's just performative. There's not a ton that the Attorney General can do, but what the Attorney General can do, refrain from doing, is issuing press releases and pretending as if he's going to somehow be an enforcer of enforcement when that's not his job.
If the governor is moving the National Guard along the border and setting up new policies, how do you handle that?
So to the extent that it's illegal, I would have a conversation with the governor and say, look, I don't believe it's optimal. To the extent that it's unconstitutional, then I would sue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you think that moving forward, what do you think is going to be one of your biggest challenges in that role if you were to get elected?
So I think that turning the page from the Ken Paxton era will be difficult. I think that a lot of people will expect business as usual, and so that I won't operate the same way, and so it's gonna be difficult for a lot of people to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get into office, you win the primary,
Sure.
You win the election. What's your first priority?
My first priority is to talk to every employee and understand that we are going to establish a culture of excellence and a culture of integrity. The second is to look at every single thing that office has done, whether it's a lawsuit or whether it's a letter to say you're under investigation, which I don't agree with. You shouldn't send out letters to tell people you're under investigations. And we're going to evaluate whether those things should remain or should be discarded.
Which is the one that's sticking in your craw, as the expression goes right now, that you think this is a place that needs my attention right now?
So
a particular issue.
Well, one thing that I do want to wade into is the Dreamers Act, where the Ken Paxton almost single-handedly got rid of that. Mm-hmm. And to the extent that there's an opportunity for me to reverse that or to express the citizens' displeasure and the unconstitutionality of what he did, then I would do that.
So then how do you pursue that? How do you do that?
If there's legal lawsuits and litigation, if you can.
But in that federal policy?
You can sue the federal government.
So you would sue the federal government for Dreamers and that. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And again, Tony Box is running to be the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. The primary election is on March 3rd. Tony, thank you so much for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And good luck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.
Coming up, our 2026 bingo card guesses. We're ready for yours. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Many energy experts are bullish about the prospects of geothermal.
It's going to grow a lot faster if there's financing help from the government, and it's going to grow anyways if there isn't. So it's really a matter of pace.
How our next renewable energy option might be right under our feet. That's next time on Think.
You can hear Think. It's coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
Support comes from Rothko Chapel, presenting the 31st MLK birthday observance. We Got Us, Health and Care Beyond Capitalism, on January 15th at 6:30 p.m. More information at rothkochapel.org.
Support comes from the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, presenting Art and Life in Imperial Rome, Trajan and His Times, exploring the impact Emperor Trajan had on art and culture during his reign. Now on view, tickets at mfah.org.
Support comes from GenPro, a Houston-based home generator service providing power to homes during unexpected outages, helping with connectivity and productivity. More information is available for you. You can learn that at genpro.com.
Hi, I'm Manoush Zamarodi, and our world is changing so fast. On the TED Radio Hour, we invite innovators, researchers, and activists to unpack those changes with us.
Just about all companies are becoming technology companies or technology-enabled companies.
Listen to the TED Radio Hour from NPR every week for conversations that will deepen your understanding of our changing world.
The TED Radio Hour, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celestia Sherman and Ernie Manous.
As is often the case for a new year, many of us tend to make bingo cards consisting of predictions for what will or will not happen throughout the year. While life is usually unpredictable and there's no telling what's in store for us, as we take our first steps into the new year, Hello Houston has nevertheless decided to take it upon ourselves to create our own bingo card of predictions for 2026, which we will revisit at the end of the year to see which of our guesses came true and which ones did not. All right, Houston, what are your 2026 predictions on your 2026 bingo card? Call or text us 713-440-8870.
This was fun until you told me there'd be accountability to it. Now I'm worried. Okay, you had one earlier. We'll get to, please start calling in with yours. We want to get through yours. You can post them over on YouTube also. Yes. We want to get to yours. But you had a good one earlier today. We were joking about it.
When we were walking in the hall, I told Ernie my first prediction is Taylor Swift will get married this year and her wedding dress is going to be terrible. There, I said it. It's going to be a terrible wedding dress. I think we're all going to be like so underwhelmed.
And so why do you think that?
I just don't think she's going to embrace the bride. Like, I just don't see her really wanting to look bridal. She's going to look too cool.
You know, the bridal extravaganza is happening here in Houston this weekend, and maybe Taylor should come to Houston and look around, get some ideas.
Yes,
see what's out there.
I really love it when a bride really embraces the bride in them. You know, like I want all of the things, the lace, the sparkle. I want a bride to look just like wow on her wedding day. And I just think Taylor's not going to come through.
Speaking of people who always look wow, I am hoping that finally Cher is going to put out that new album she has been promising. And she promises it will be her last, too.
I hope it's
not.
We'll
see if either of those are
her
true.
last in 2026.
And she says she's going to go on tour. 80 years old, on tour, wearing her negligees and her lingerie out there for the world to see. You know what? God bless you, Cher.
God bless you.
You got it in you. Do it.
You know, I think there's a couple, I'm making all positive-ish predictions.
Yes, okay.
But, you know, Cher and Dolly are getting up there.
Oh, don't you dare. They're national treasures, young lady.
I know. Okay.
I'm going to take the week off work if that happens to my
She's going to wear all black.
I'll wear black. I did when Johnny Versace got shot. For a week, I was on TV. For a week, I wore all black.
That was a very tragic story.
Yes. How
again,
did we turn dark already?
713-440-8870. We want to hear your 2026 predictions. Sarah from Conroe is on the line. Sarah, what is your 2026 bingo card predictions?
Hey, a longtime listener here, love you guys, and I don't want to take it too negative, but I have a bad feeling that the U.S. is going to try to take over Greenland.
Sarah, I hate to say it, but I think I agree with you. There seems to be a lot of motion going that way. Would you go to our 51st state, Greenland, if it got taken?
Honestly, yes, just to apologize. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah,
do you
I'm
have
with
any more positive predictions for what you expect to see in the year?
All I can think about is my family in Iran. I hope that we don't go over there. So let's go for that. We're not going to mess with Iran this year.
Okay, we're with you on that one, Sarah. I hope your prediction comes true for the second one. I kind of hope your prediction doesn't come true for the first one, but thank you for calling and sharing, and keep listening.
Thank you, guys.
713-440-8870. Sam is on the line from Sugarland. Sam, what have you got on your mind?
Yeah, hello, sir. My prediction for this 2026 is that inflation is going to come down drastically, and families will see big relief and comfort in this year, and the Republican Party will have a resounding victory in the Congress and Senate.
Sam, I'm curious. I know predictions are just predictions. You don't have to explain how things would happen, but I'm curious, what do you think is going to make inflation come down?
As a first step, you can see energy has come down. We have got gas prices at $2. It has never been this low in the last 4 years. That's the first indicator.
Okay, Sam, thank you very much. My fingers are crossed that your prediction comes down.
Inflation
because
comes
then my New Year's resolution of not going to shop at a store, I can go more often
change
if
that.
inflation
Okay.
goes down.
I'm going to throw another one out there.
All right, here comes another Celeste prediction.
And I predict President Trump will have a major falling out with Vice President J.D. Vance.
Oh, this soon? I would think it's coming in a couple of years, but I wouldn't. You think?
I don't know
right
why.
away?
I think so. I think it's brewing. I think that, Vice President Vance has been out there, and I don't know why. I think that President Trump isn't going to like,
his attention that he gets. Yeah.
Just
Interesting.
throwing it out
I'm
there. And
thinking,
I know we were not going to really try to get too into politics, and that's nothing. I
got a political one too.
Okay,
I
throw it out there.
think my prediction is this is going to be the 2026 is going to be a very robust election with a huge turnout. And that's what this country needs. No matter how you vote, I am a huge proponent in everyone has the right to vote and should go out and do it. And I think that there has been enough concern about politics that maybe it's going to wake up people outside of a presidential election to get out there and vote. And we're going to do our part here on the show to make sure this prediction comes true.
To the opposite of concern, it's going to be very interesting if people really do come out, because I also think there are some people that I personally know that think that the president is doing a great job and that they want to keep this kind of Republican, this administration moving forward. So it's going to be very interesting.
We get another prediction from Noah Espinosa says, my prediction is that News and Brews, an annual Houston Public Media fundraiser, is gonna, G-A-N-A, be so much fun.
I'm with you. I'm going to put that on my bingo card.
I think that will be true too. My British computer guy says my bingo prediction is that Trump will actively go after more South American countries.
Interesting. But again,
713-440-8870. How about Oliver from Galleria? What's on your bingo prediction card for this year?
Hi. Honestly, just staying in tune with politics, I think Democrats are going to overperform specifically in the Senate. I think there's a very real chance Dems can win a state like Ohio and even Iowa, just specifically the Iowa governorship. But I think Dems are going to overperform.
We'll see if your prediction comes true as the year continues to tick on.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we know that we saw multiple Republican elected officials back down because they said that they were predicting essentially that this was going to be a sweep for the Democratic leaders.
Oliver, thank you very much for calling in. We have another prediction. This came in via text. The prediction is that Nicolas Cage will be amazing playing NFL coach John Madden in David O. Russell's new movie, Madden.
Ooh.
So could it be a Cage resurgence?
A Cage resurgence.
Nicolas
Okay.
Cage back
So
in the highlight?
if we're going into the movie entertainment area, here's my Oscar prediction. One battle after the other will sweep the Oscars.
Sweep, not just
you heard
win.
me.
Sweep.
Sweep. I think it's going to sweep the Oscars.
And the question on every listener of Hello Houston's mind is, well, Celeste, have you actually seen the movie?
Yes, I did see it.
Okay.
I watched it over the holiday break. And It was interesting. We saw Leonardo DiCaprio really kind of play a different type character. It felt like he had a teenage daughter who was a little bit older. And there was a lot of parallels, I think, from a political standpoint. But it was good. I wouldn't say it was my favorite film, but I thought it was good. And I think because it's the only film I watched, I'm going to say it's going to sweep.
Okay, then sweep it will, we hope, for your sake.
For my sake.
We'll see if that's good. On my card, something, if you're a regular listener of the show, you know I get a bit carried away with Eurovision, the big European song contest. It's in the spotlight a lot over in Europe right now because of concerns with Israel performing in the competition and political concerns. I am predicting that Eurovision will go off without a hitch, maybe not as bombastic as it has in the past, but it will survive this year and will continue to be strong.
Okay, I'm going to go move a little bit more into the economy. My prediction is unemployment is going to skyrocket. You ready for it? Due to robotics taking over delivery type services, ride sharing. I think it's going to be the year of robots.
I know this isn't part of what we're talking about, but would you, if you ordered your Uber
You're laughing at me.
and you came out of your house and no one was driving your Uber, would you get in that Uber?
I mean, no, but I wouldn't. There are certain things that I still want to be a human being, and one is driving.
Right.
One is driving.
Well, again, if you listen, you know my distrust in all things mechanical that people put together. I don't trust any of us anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't trust people, as we've been talking about all day today. We have a poll up over on our YouTube channel. How do you feel about 2026 overall? You can vote optimistic, worried, or I don't know. I'm taking it day by day. Go over there, vote. We'll give you the results of that in just a little bit. Other predictions, I want to turn to our executive producer who monitors us daily and constructs this show at great cost to his personal life. I'm curious, Jim, if you can join us via your microphone. What is your prediction for the new year?
Can you hear me? Is this on?
It's on, Jim.
I predict the U.S. will turn 250 on July 4th.
I agree that your prediction will come true in that particular
Thank you very much. It's the sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial.
I think, or bicentennial again.
No, the bicentennial.
You were here for the original one, Ernie. You should know.
I heard stories of the original one, and though there are some that think I was there in 1776.
Wait, so a prediction though? Is it's like not known.
Yeah,
we are.
I was making a joke. I'm sorry.
Jimbo, dad joke. Okay.
Jim, this was your idea to do this bingo card, so come on, give us a prediction.
Prediction. The Texans will win the Super Bowl in February.
Really?
Yes, I'm going way out on a limb right now. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mic drop, Jimbo.
Mic drop. There we go.
I like it. Okay, I'm going to go in.
Okay,
and
so let's got another prediction for us.
There's going to be a major cyber attack, and it's going to be linked all to AI. It's going to send technology into a frenzy, and the AI up bubble is going to be done.
You are just all on this negativity in your predictions.
Really?
Yeah.
You think I know we said we were going to try not to be negative. You think my predictions are negative?
I predict that people are going to live in love and harmony this year, and we're going to wake up to all of this dissension that we've seen for so many recent years, and we're going to say, enough is enough. Let's all go back to believing in each other, lifting people up, being positive, and making this country the great nation that we know it is, and that we're going to come together and solve our differences. How about that?
Great. I hope it comes together for you. Yeah.
Okay. Quickly, Ejo says less Americans on health insurance is a prediction. Once again, concerning.
There you go. Coming up, we'll continue looking into and discussing today's top stories. We're also going to discuss how we can manage our New Year's resolutions. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
I'm Jesse Thorne. You want some real, insightful conversations about where art comes from? Well, Bullseye has you covered, as long as you don't mind a little bit of ridiculousness.
Y'all was like really judging me though.
They sniffed it out. They sniffed out that I was weird.
I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna sit, just like in the movies.
Listen, learn, laugh. Bullseye from Maximum Fun and NPR.
Bullseye, Thursdays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from School of the Woods, founded in 1962, offering Montessori education from early childhood through grade 12. Enrollment is open now. More info at schoolofthewoods.org.
It'll be a partly sunny day today, warm up to about 80. And patchy fog moves in again tonight, a low 67. Tomorrow's high 79. 71, this is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, a plaque made to honor the police who defended the Capitol during the January 6th attack is currently not on display, despite this being required by law. We'll discuss this and more on today's Top Stories. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
And I'm Ernie Manous. We'll also talk with the author, Linda Dodge, who will discuss her new book, A Museum is Born, which tells the remarkable story of how the Museum of Fine Arts Houston was established.
Plus, Houston area TEDx organizer Durrell Douglas will share some helpful hints for managing our New Year's resolutions.
And we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Days after the U.S. military raid and ouster of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, European leaders are worried about the Trump administration's renewed threats to seize Greenland to bolster U.S. national security. European leaders are warning that doing so would threaten the existence of NATO. Here's NPR's Rob Schmitz.
In a joint statement, the heads of state of countries such as France, Germany, the UK, and Denmark reaffirmed support for Arctic security, reminding the Trump administration that Greenland, as a territory of Denmark, is part of NATO, and that it is only for Denmark and Greenland to decide on matters concerning Greenland. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen says a U.S. takeover of Greenland would amount to the end of NATO, while Greenland's Prime Minister says Greenland should not worry about a U.S. takeover, saying the mineral-rich territory is nothing like Venezuela and that it wishes to build ties with the U.S. Rob Schmitz, NPR News.
Democratic U.S. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona is firing back after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said he was taking administrative action against Kelly. Hegseth is accusing Kelly of sedition for taking part in a video message to U.S. service members to not follow illegal orders. On CNN, Kelly said Hegseth said the same thing as he reacted to a 2016 video attributed to Liberty Forum and YouTube.
He was correct, and isn't this the height of hypocrisy? Pete Hegseth says something in 2016 specifically about Donald Trump. I said something generically about you must follow the law, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. His case, it seems to be fine. My case, the president wanted me hanged, executed, prosecuted, and now they want to demote me.
In a social media statement, Hegseth said he has begun a formal 45-day process to reduce Kelly's rank and retirement pay. The Pentagon is mounting a 6-month review of women in ground combat jobs, according to a memo obtained by NPR. The review is set to determine the effectiveness of having several thousand female soldiers and Marines in infantry, armor, and artillery, a decade after those positions were open to them. Here's NPR's Tom Bowman.
The memo from Defense Undersecretary Anthony Tata calls for Army and Marine Corps leaders to provide data on the readiness, training, casualties, and command climate of ground combat units. Tata is also asking for any internal studies on the integration of women in ground combat, which was open to them in 2015. Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson tells NPR the review is designed to make sure the military is the most lethal. She said Defense Secretary Hegseth will not compromise standards. As a Fox News anchor, Hegseth opposed women in ground combat, but he said during his confirmation hearing in January that women can serve in ground combat if they meet the same requirements as men. Tom Bowman, NPR News.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. Attorneys gave opening statements this morning in the trial of a former Uvalde School District police officer charged after the deadly shooting at Robb Elementary. Texas Public Radio's David Martin Davies has more on the child endangerment case against Adrian Gonzales.
Special Prosecutor Bill Turner addressed the jury Tuesday morning about the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary. He said Gonzales was a highly trained 10-year police veteran, and when the shooter crashed his car and opened fire, Gonzales didn't take action that could have saved the lives of children.
We're not asking Adrian Gonzales to commit suicide. He has been trained to go to the corner of a building and distract, delay, and impede the gunman while help is arriving.
The defense attorney's opening statement argued about the timeline of events and said Gonzales was not assigned to Robb Elementary. I'm David Martin Davies in San Antonio.
Uncertainty remains around the legal status of some Venezuelans living in the United States after the U.S. military captured the country's leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife. Ruby Powers is an area immigration attorney. She told Houston Matters that after that happened, there have been conflicting signals from the Trump administration about Venezuelans' potential pathways to legal status.
I'm thinking about that. I've got asylum interviews in about a week. We've got court cases coming up. I would think my answers to them would be, this is very fluid.
She says the biggest question is what this means for Venezuelans who are in some sort of temporary or expiring status. Fuel prices continue to trickle way down. The average price for a gallon of regular in Houston is currently $2.37. That's about 11 cents cheaper than a month ago and almost 25 cents cheaper than where we were a year ago. Premium is averaging less than $3.40 a gallon right now. It's 71 degrees and overcast right now on the University of Houston campus. Warm today with a high of 81. We'll see more fog again tonight with lows in the mid-60s. That fog is forecasted to stick around until about 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Charles Schwab, offering investors choices like full-service wealth management, advice, investing, and trading on Thinkorswim. Learn more at schwab.com. And from the Doris Duke Foundation.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Frank Billingsley's taking a little time off, but Celeste and I are here for your afternoon enjoyment.
We are here.
We were talking about our predictions and our bingo cards, and I did a little kumbaya at the end of that thing, that segment, and Charlie Parker writes it. He says, unfortunately, positivity won't be at a systemic level until Trump is out of office. And the reason I read that comment is I want us to stop thinking about other people affecting how we behave. Yeah. And I think, yes, it's hard when negativity is pushed your way from different directions, but it's on all of us to say, that's them, not us. And we can rise above. And so, yes, there will still be problems. I'm not blind to the possibility that people can bring us down. But if the rest of us together look to lift us up, I think we can find peace in troubling times.
I, for a very long time, called myself an optimist. And I think that over time, I realized in just situations, I'm not that optimistic per se, but I like to live in a place of reality and looking at the reality and finding ways to not be like kumbaya, but be like, okay, this is the situation and we are going to look at the positive. So I don't know. I find that there's a place where we can hold space for multiple
Absolutely, yeah.
things.
I always look to, and once again, I have odd people that I look up to, but I look to Yoko Ono in a moment like this. And I think to myself, she has built her entire art career and public-facing mission in life is peace and love. And if anybody in this world up until recently had been more attacked than Yoko Ono, I don't know who it is, about
Meghan Markle would say she's been more
yes,
attacked.
that's why I said till this point in time. But it would be destroyed the Beatles, is the Dragon Lady Queen and so evil. All of this negativity was pushed toward her whole public life. And through it all, she kept talking of peace and love and growth of humankind. And if she can do that, we can do that.
Yoko Ono. You actually interviewed Yoko Ono.
Quite a few times. I have known Yoko in the past.
Ernie, you know the most interesting people.
Not really the bingo card most people would have if you could pick the celebrities you know. So, but yes.
That is so funny. But we want to thank you again for joining us on Hello Houston. On Hello Houston, whether you're joining us via your radio on 88.7 or you are watching us on YouTube. We have a lot going on today. What do we have going on today?
I just want to say we had a poll going over on our YouTube channel about the new year. And the winner in our poll of how do you feel about 2026, I'm taking it day by day, was our strong winner at 44%, worried about it 31%, and over with me, the optimistics, at only 25%. So remember, every day when we have the show going, we are live on YouTube, as Celeste and I have told you, and oftentimes there's a poll that pops up. You can take that poll and we'll share those results.
But jumping right into the headlines.
Let's go.
On today's 5th anniversary of the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, the official plaque honoring the police who defended democracy that day is nowhere to be found. It's not on display at the Capitol, as is required by law. Its whereabouts aren't publicly known, though it's believed to be in storage. House Speaker Mike Johnson has yet to formally unveil the plaque, and the Trump administration's Department of Justice is seeking to dismiss a police officer's lawsuit, asking that it be displayed as intended. Speaking of police, NPR just released an investigative piece on that day 5 years ago with Capitol Police Officer Daniel Hodges narrating his body camera footage.
This champ over here thinks the Capitol belongs to him. And here I get pinned against this waist-high wall. You can hear it right here. That's me screaming because the guy in the striated sweater thing is reaching underneath my visor and trying to gouge out my eye with his thumb.
5 years out, what are your thoughts on January 6th attack on the Capitol? What was your response when you were watching? And what needs to be in the history books? Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston at 713-440-8870.
I am concerned with people's reinterpretation of things we saw that day. When I hear peaceful people at the Capitol, tourists visiting the Capitol, that's not what we saw. That's not what happened that day. What instigated them, people can continue to have debates about that if they want. But to pretend violence didn't happen that day, I just don't even have words for it. People lost their lives. People were severely injured. People saw a very ugly side of humanity in this country that we shouldn't have seen on our Capitol. And you can have political disagreements. You can be upset and bothered by the way things go. You can look to the courts to change things. We were built on revolution, yes. But you can't usurp the rule of law that we have all agreed to for now almost 250 years.
Yeah.
And this rewriting of history bothers me greatly. I'm very happy NPR is taking the approach they're taking with the way they're sharing the story of it, and we need to remember it. And back to the plaque itself, yes, that should be found and put up. Yes, we should remember what happened that day, because the old saying, those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it.
Right. I mean, I think that when we look at the situation, what happened, never in our history had we had a large group of people violently storm our historical building. I mean, an attempt basically to stop the counting of the electoral votes confirming Joe Biden's victory. That is a very dark and scary place to be as a country. Yeah. And to not recognize it is you're failing as, I think, an American citizen to say, regardless of party, that should never happen. We should know better as Americans. Yeah.
I want to jump in here and just say 713-440-8870. And I invite you to call in and share your thoughts on this topic with us. And even if you don't agree with us, I'd be very interested in understanding, not fighting, not attacking, not arguing with, but understanding the different points of view that may be out there and why people see it the way they saw it. Because from where I sat, and I remember that day, we were doing a different show at that time, and we were live that afternoon, and we had to cover what was happening in the moment. And we were watching it in the moment, so we saw what was happening.
Yeah, I remember sitting in my car when it was happening, and I always had, at that point I wasn't working, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was picking up my daughter from preschool, and I remember hearing what was happening on NPR, and you could hear the genuine fear in the reporters' voices that were on ground in D.C. saying, this is a real situation.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that. And I was breastfeeding at the time, and I held one of my son and was just in shock. But
Charlie Parker writes, I was crying and asking, why isn't Trump sending troops to stop this? Trump sat back and watched and did nothing.
But again, 713-440-8870. We'd love to hear your thoughts right here on Hello Houston. Let's go to Paul from Westside. Paul, welcome to Hello Houston.
No, thank you. First of all, it's shameful that the plaque is not being displayed. But when we think about January 6th, let's not just think about the day. Let's think about the events that led up to it. Donald Trump lied about the election, which he's allowed to do, but he's not allowed to do the treasonous act of organizing fake electors to forge fake documents saying that he won and asking his vice president to put him over the Constitution, in Mike Pence's own words, so he could remain in power after losing. January 6th was just his attempt to disrupt the electoral count. It is all a treasonous plot by Donald Trump that's never been tried in court because he, of course, won and Jack Smith was dismissed.
Paul, thank you very much for those comments. We have online from one of our commenters, where did I see it? Just rolled by, that on that day, through a strong man, many take me as Teflon, the visuals of January 6th. Okay, he is a strong person saying many take me as Teflon, but the visuals on January 6th brought me to tears. I felt like it was 9/11 all over again. 713-440-8870. Oliver from Galleria, what's on your mind?
Hello again. So I remember January 6th very vividly. I'm born and raised in D.C., and I still have a lot of friends there. And on that day, my one of my best friends was actually going into work. He worked right next to the Department of Education. And I was just like, it was a terrifying day for everyone in the district. I mean, I had so many friends working downtown. I didn't know if they were safe or not. We had a curfew at like 3 p.m. that day. And it was just a really, really scary day for everyone in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Oliver, true. Thank you for calling and sharing that with us. Another comment here. Pelosi had charge of the Capitol Police, could have called them as well. In fact, it was their jurisdiction more so than the Guard. Both sides wanted this to happen. My comment on that comment is the fact that regardless of who could have stopped it, the fact that it was going on and the rewriting of history, because it's interesting, the folks that want to rewrite what happened are saying, well, Pelosi could have called in the National Guard. Well, if it was peaceful protesters just there at the Capitol, there was no need to call them in. So I don't know how you can have it both ways. The fact is something was happening there and it was wrong, and a lot were trying to stop it. And a mob, an angry mob, I don't know how else to describe it, was not trying to stop it. They were trying to make a turn, as Celeste was talking about earlier.
And again, 713-440-8870. Shim from West Houston is on the line. Shim, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, long-time listener to NPR and all the stations in Houston. I was a little disappointed the other day because I heard someone stating on NPR or on our station here in Houston that on the 6th there were peaceful and violent and peaceful rioters. I was just curious on why they stated it that way because I've never seen a peaceful riot before. So, I want NPR as well to make sure that we're not slipping and trying to fudge the truth a little bit for other people as well. And also, I just want to say that, America, unfortunately, has a long history of rewriting history.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we do. We kind of whitewash it a little bit, for lack of better terms. But I think that's something that we always do. This time isn't any different, really. It's on us to hold ourselves accountable.
Thank you, Shim, for that. I think in addressing that concern, I'm not exactly sure where it was said and how it was said, but I think what we have to keep in mind is there were many, many people in Washington that day, and not everyone was violent. I will concede that fact. There were violent protesters at the Capitol. We all saw them. We don't know, at least from where I sit, others may have seen it, the outlying, the further out you got from the actual confrontation, there could have been people that were just walking, that were just marching, that were just carrying signs, which is our constitutional right to do, is to protest things we disagree with. So if they characterized it as that there were also peaceful protesters, if they said peaceful rioters, that's a problem. But if they said peaceful protesters, there very well could have been in outer rings that happening. What was right at the door of the Capitol with the pushing to get in and the breaking of windows and the attacking, I don't know how you can characterize that as peaceful.
713-440-8870. Mike from Richmond is on the line. Mike, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
My comment today is that January 6th was only the beginning for this type of situation that we are looking at in America. Since then, we've had reckless and unlawful and unconstitutional movement by this administration, and it's even gone into the streets of our cities. We have military members in our cities. So what's next? We got a president that's controlling the entire military apparatus, getting it to do unlawful things, and people joining in with it and saying it's okay to do whatever. And so what's the next step? What is the next step? What is America going to be facing next?
Mm-hmm. Very good points. Thank you for calling in and sharing them with us. We want to know what you think, even if it's counter to what you've been hearing so far and you want to express your opinion about your perception of what happened. Please give us a call at 713-440-8870. My British computer guy says anyone who entered the Capitol using force should have been held accountable, as should anyone who commits violence.
We did receive a text that says, Trump did request troops. He does not control them at the D.C. level. The Speaker of the House had to approve the order. The order was refused.
And again, that brings up the two different topics. It's that, okay, how we handled it is one situation. The fact that it was going on is another. And what was going on was violent. I don't know how you can see it another way, but if you do have a different opinion, please give us a call.
Javier in Cyprus also texted us. He says, Javier in Cyprus here. I am surprised people still insist that January 6, 2021 wasn't a big deal. All incited by the president of the U.S., who to this day still insists that the 2020 election was stolen without evidence, and after losing over 60 court cases concerning the 2020 election. I am shocked people voted for this criminal again in 2024. If Biden was even half as vindictive as Trump is, Trump would be in prison cell today. That, again, was a text that we received. And we're going to go to our phone lines. We have a call from Daniel from OST. Daniel, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hey, hi. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I think we need to also keep in mind where we are today. And today we still have people, pardonees, for example, like Nick Notario, who are in Washington, D.C. today, rewalking that route. As if that's the approach we should be looking at, and as if they were all patriots. And I think it's a little scary today that the man who organized this, at least from a certain level, at least was convicted on multiple felonies and got given 22 years in prison, was pardoned. And today he's in Washington, D.C., and he's rewalking that walk like it was to be proud of. And that's kind of sad. It doesn't speak well of America.
Yeah. Daniel, thank you for your point of view and for sharing it with us here on the show. Remember, we're interested in what you think. 713-440-8870. You can also email us at talk@hellohouston.org, and you can use that number also to text us, so you can do it either way. I'm assuming OST is Old Spanish Trail.
Old Spanish Trail.
That's what I would assume OST is.
Thank you.
Yeah. It is concerning. It is bothersome. And it is a day I think we need to remember. I doubt we will see it become any sort of a national holiday in remembrance of but from a day of recognition of what happened.
Yeah, but I think there's a fine line there, right? We want to recognize it, but we don't. I think there's a fine line of, it's like calling people's deaths like anniversaries or things. You're holding space for it, but as recognition. Right.
713-440-8870. Larry from Katy is on the line. Larry, what's on your mind?
Yes, I used to live in Louisville, and the television news went out and interviewed people organizing a caravan on January 5th, and they were going to go out and take our country back. And this is well planned, well organized. Trump is following in Hitler's playbook. He took him 4 years to attack the Capitol. Hitler only took 4 weeks to burn the Reichstag. The man tells the big lie. The louder, longer, and bigger it is, the more people believe it. But suffers from the liar's curse, which is he doesn't believe anyone else. Those are my points.
Larry, thank you for sharing them with us. I know there are a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot comes up on a day like today. And as Celeste said, we're holding space for that and for all the different points of view and perspective on it. And you've heard ours. So there you have it. I'm going to move on a little bit into some other things that are happening today.
Yes.
And maybe not nearly as important, but today is January 6th. It is also Take Down the Christmas Tree Day.
Officially.
Official take down. It's traditional day for removing Christmas decorations.
Is your Christmas tree down?
No.
No. Mine was down, I think, December 29th.
Lord.
Christmas is out of the Sherman house.
When we were kids, I remember a neighbor had their tree out on the curb December 25th in the evening.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, you opened your gifts and took down your tree.
No, I do love having my cup of coffee with my Christmas tree becomes one of my favorite lamps in my whole house. Just kind of there.
A couple other things coming up for all of us TV viewers. Season 14 of The Masked Singer is going to premiere tomorrow night on Fox. Are you still watching Masked Singer?
I watch it. It's good.
I
not
watched
a regular.
It the first season or two and didn't know who a lot of these celebrities were. I don't know if it's gotten a better grouping of celebrities as it's become more popular, but
sometimes there's like real big celebrities. And I can't think of any right now, but I don't watch it that regularly, but it's very entertaining and I can watch it with my children.
That's true. I can watch it with my mom.
And they love it. They love to watch it.
Oh, my mom was always shocked when they take their heads off at the end because she thought that's who they were. Season 2 of that very popular show, The Pit, will hit HBO Max on Thursday.
Have you
back
watched
for season
it?
2. I did not watch it.
I started it. It's good. It's really good. And I'm not a big I'm not a big like gory hospital-y type watcher. Like I never watched ER or anything like that. And I liked The Pit.
I don't know. Are you an awards show watcher?
Yes, I love a good award show.
Are you excited? Nikki Glaser will be back as the host of the Golden Globes on Sunday.
I think she knocked it out of the park last year, and I'm excited to see what she has set up for us now.
And my fourth bit of television news for you. Season 4 of Industry premieres on HBO Max on Sunday.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
I don't know. I don't watch it either.
God.
I'm just excited. End of February, Survivor comes back for its 50th season. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But we got a lot more shows still to come.
You've watched all 50 seasons, right?
I've watched every season, all 50 of them. It's only been 25 years.
I love some good Ernie trivia. All right. Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with author Linda Dodge about her book, A Museum is Born, How the Museum of Fine Arts Houston Came to Be. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner Ellen and I have been proud supporters of public radio and TV for decades.
We really would be lost without our daily fix of unbiased national and local news, cultural programming, and great entertainment.
But with recent federal defunding, stations like Houston Public Media face real challenges.
Now's the time to step up.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Thank you.
Hobson, next time on The Middle, the U.S. just overthrew Venezuela's socialist president, Nicolas Maduro, and America's largest city now has a Democratic socialist as mayor. Just the word socialism means different things to different people.
Democratic socialism is about having a government which reflects the interest of ordinary people.
I reject socialism outright.
So what does socialism mean to you? That's next time on The Middle.
Thursday night at 8 p.m.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from arbitrator, mediator, and attorney Sylvia Mayer, providing in-person and video conference arbitration and mediation services. More information available at smayerlaw.com.
Support comes from the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, presenting Art and Life in Imperial Rome, Trajan and His Times, exploring the impact Emperor Trajan had on art and culture during his reign. Now on view, tickets at mfah.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the Clarion at Brazosport College, presenting the Westerly's Brass Quartet, performing in concert on Friday, January 16th. More information at brazosport.edu/Clarion.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste Diaz-Sherman and Ernie Manous.
A true pillar of our community, and today we explore the unlikely beginnings of one of Houston's cultural treasures. A museum is born. How the Museum of Fine Arts Houston came to be reveals the remarkable story of a handful of determined citizens who turned a bold idea into a world-class institution. Joining us now is the book's author, Linda Dodge, who's going to share how the museum took its first steps and why its origin story still resonates. Linda, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to join the conversation or have questions about the MFA, it's easy to do. Just give us a call, 713-440-8870. First of all, I love the institution. I love seeing it. What I really love about it is when you're at the museum, if you go around to the park side of it and you look back, you see the old building. The old facade is there, and you have that memorialized on the cover of your book. Talk a little bit about, and I know this is going to be a big part of this story, but talk a little bit about how this all came to be.
Well, the museum building, as you see on the front cover there, opened to the public in April 1924.
Wow.
And so last year, 2024, was the centennial celebration, and the museum put on a lot of shows and lectures and events related to its 100th year anniversary.
I do need to correct you. That is now 2 years ago because we just switched years.
That's right. Thank you.
Yes.
But January the 10th, 2026, will be also a centennial of the opening of the wings of the original building.
Oh.
The original building was just a 2-story box, not particularly functional as they desired the museum to be. And so they had fundraising for the wings of the museum, which were opened in 1926 on January 10th with a blockbuster show of American artists, living American artists, from the New York Central Galleries. So my question when I became a docent at the museum in 2008 was, how did this building come to be? Aliens from outer space didn't come down and say, poof.
Well, take me back for a minute, though. To have this institution, to have what we see, and we all take it for granted to some degree that we have the MFA, but there was a group of people who decided Houston needs something like this. What was that discussion?
Well, it all comes back to 1900.
Okay.
when the Houston Post put in an article on a Saturday morning saying, anyone interested in art, come to the parlor of Mrs. Robert S. Lovett at the corner of Main and Gray Street to her lovely house, and talk about forming a Houston Public School Art League.
Before we even get to that then, what made her think this is something I need to do? What do you know of her, the origin of that thought even for her?
Well, it did not exist. The idea of a museum did not exist in 1900. That had to wait until 1913 with Rice Institute coming to town and opening. And another Lovett family, Edgar Odell Lovett, was the first president. And so he brought with him very educated, art-aware professors of the university. It was an institute at the time. And they influenced this group called the Public School Art League to change and recharter themselves in Austin in 1913 to be the Houston Art League.
So they come to her house to talk about this idea of the original theory of it. Mm-hmm. And who shows up?
There were about 47 people that showed up to Mrs. Lovett's house. Mm-hmm. And they came to hear a lecturer called she was nicknamed the Evangelist of Art. She was Mrs. Jean Sherwood from Chicago. And she was a member of the Chicago Art Institute, which existed at the time, organized children's tours, and implemented an idea that came from Manchester, England, then to Boston, to form public school art leagues to bring art to the children in the public school systems.
Help me understand, what is a children's art league? What's a public school art league? What would that look like?
It is a group of citizens, and originally the earliest one was in Boston around 1894. And they would bring art, reproductions of masterpieces of Western art, like Raphael's Sistine Madonna. Mm-hmm. They would bring copies of that, reproductions and casts of sculptures into the schools. We didn't have museums, so instead of bringing children to the museum as we do today, they brought art to the schools.
Wow. So then the idea grows.
The idea grows. And, for example, this is a catalog of Perry Pictures. There were companies that would reproduce in black and white these old masterpieces of art. And you can thumb through there.
Oh, wow. It's an original.
Oh, wow.
And so they would pick out selections of these to put into the public schools. The Houston Public School Art League actually implemented with the school district training, and this is an example textbook.
I love this. You brought your show and tell with us today.
I love it.
Just a few things.
Yeah.
And so they would put the idea of art in the very lowest grades, like first grade. So they would learn about form and line and space. And then in the second, third, fourth, and all the way up through high school, they would have the art divided by the source of the art, what they called the form of the art. So they would have English art, Dutch art, German art. So by the time a Houston teenager graduated from high school, they would be well grounded in the whole history of Western art and Western civilizations and know quite a bit of the famous artists of Western civilization.
We are speaking with author Linda Dodge about her book, A Museum is Born, How the Museum of Fine Arts Houston Came to Be. If you would like to join the conversation and have a question for Linda, you can call or text 713-440-8870. Now, Linda, hearing the coming, how the Museum of Fine Arts began is incredible, but I also am curious, what inspired you to write the book?
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Yes.
I became a docent and took the docent training class in 2008. And for about 7 years, I did children's tours. We bring about 40 to 50,000 school children through the museum every year and break them up into small groups and have docents that lead tours.
And mind you, this isn't the Children's Museum. I mean, this is the Museum of Fine Arts Houston.
Exactly.
Yeah, incredible. So you were leading the tours.
And then I began doing adult tours. And of course, in looking around the museum, you would see the information in a little plaque beside each work of art. And it would have what's called an accession number. So, for example, accession number 88.70 is a work of art. It's a print. It was the sculpture garden of Emily Nadelson. And so, I knew then that was number 70 that was acquired in 1988 for the museum collection.
Amazing.
But there were a few works of art like Jerome's Tiger on the Watch did not follow this pattern of the year followed by a dot followed by the acquisition number. It was AL.2 or AL.3 or AL.32. And the credit line said Art League, Houston Art League. So that was the original collection that was acquired by the Houston Art League that would be installed in the building when it was erected.
So oftentimes we think, and it's been said, Houston, a big old cow town, but we have this almost temple to art built in our own backyard. When does it move into a building? How long did it take to get recognized on the level it is known today?
Oh, well, I did not go into the history of the museum much after the building opens. There's a little bit in the epilogue in my book. But now it's recognized as one of the top 10 museums in the whole United States. But during the time of the Houston Art Leagues, there was also a San Antonio Public School Art League, a Dallas Public School Art League, a Fort Worth Public School Art League. And so there was kind of a rivalry, as you will see in the book, between the cities as the first ones who could establish a real art museum. And Houston was a cowboy town. It was right on the cusp of the oil boom. There were no filling stations. There were no cars in 1900. In 1905, there were 80 automobiles registered in the city of Houston. The first purchase of an automobile in the city of Houston was in 1901, and it was kind of a joke. It was purchased by the Left Hand Fishing Club.
Wow.
My book is filled with little jokes and side stories and tales of being in Houston in the early 1900s at the turn of the century.
Do you think, looking back, the Houston Art League, the group of local artists and civic leaders, if they saw what the Museum of Fine Arts Houston was today, that they would believe it?
I don't know that they would believe at how the museum has grown.
Yeah.
And it's grown through collections, like Miss Ima Hogg, donating the Hogg Brothers Remington paintings collection.
Incredible.
And her Kachina dolls and her ethnic American collection. And Annette Finnegan, who searched Europe for the antiquities that she donated to the museum. The museum grew by collections, by famous donors.
How do you feel the personality or the city itself changed and grew because we had the MFA? What was the impact there, do you think?
Houston then became having a tangible, a palpable art culture. At the time that the Houston Museum was being thought about, the Houston Symphony was organized. And the Houston Public Library with Julia Idison, its building was built in, the the first building was the Carnegie Library in 1904. So culture was influenced by executives of the railroads and their wives. A lot of them had graduated from schools in the East and were aching for some measure of culture in their own city.
And that's fascinating, right? Because oftentimes when you do look at a city like Houston, we think of industry and that it's very industrial, but we have such a rich culture of the arts. And Ernie and I were actually discussing the fine arts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How important it is that we have that. We were talking about the charter of what allows us to be a public station, and that with NPR and PBS, the reason we do arts coverage is the belief is in the general commercial media, they don't give the attention to that, and an audience needs to understand our art. And it's very similar with a community needs to have a strong art presence to help creativity and thought and growth of the human race, I would say.
It was actually the British arts and crafts movement, John Ruskin and his followers, who believed sincerely that art was important for the morality and the citizenship, the sense of citizenship of the children of the community. And so that wave came from Manchester, England. It came over to Boston first. From Boston, it went to Chicago, where they had the Settlement House, the Chicago Art Institute. And then it spread through people like Mrs. Jean Sherwood, who lectured in many, many, many different cities and states. In fact, that meeting in 1900 in Houston was only one stop on her tour of a lecture tour through Houston, which began in Huntsville at the normal school. And people who are in education know what a normal school is. It is a teacher's college. So she started there. She came to Houston. She gave a series of lectures in Houston, which culminated in this meeting. Then she went to San Antonio. Then she went to University of Texas in Austin, then Belton, and then Fort Worth.
Wow.
And she ended up in Boulder, Colorado, where they had the Texas-Colorado Chautauqua. The Texas-Colorado Chautauqua was the birthplace of the idea of our museum. So I can say that our museum had its first idea at the normal school in the summer of 1898 in a tent in Boulder, Colorado.
Wow. Fascinating. And there's so much more in the book that takes us through all of that and ends up with us having truly a world-class institution right here in our own city. Thank you so much.
And we received a very kind comment on YouTube that says, great interview, awesome lady. So there you go, Linda.
And you can purchase my book on Amazon. There is a Kindle version as well as a softcover version.
Beautiful. Linda, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston. And coming up, managing New Year's resolutions can be tough, but it also can be something that you can stick with. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Want to binge
get
all
enough
creatures
PBS programming? PBS Passport is an added member benefit that offers exclusive streaming access to many of your favorite programs on the PBS app. Whether you're an NPR listener, a PBS watcher, or both, your ongoing donations of at least $5 per month qualify for PBS Passport. Make your gift now to start watching at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
On Fresh Air, you'll hear revelations from well-known actors, like Zach Galifianakis on the story behind his last name.
It's actually shortened, Terry. My real last name is Galifianakisberg. That's an exclusive for your show.
Fresh Air, bringing you some of the biggest names in American culture and some of the most difficult to pronounce. Join us.
Fresh Air, weekdays at 8 p.m. on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Baylor College of Medicine. With 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress in health and medicine through research, education, and care that push the frontiers of modern science.
Support comes from Holocaust Museum Houston, a cultural institution offering immersive exhibits featuring authentic film footage, artifacts, and more, focused on history, education, and remembrance. Details at hmh.org.
Support comes from Smart Financial Center in Sugar Land, presenting Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, celebrating the 60th anniversary of whipped cream and other delights. Saturday, January 17th. Tickets at smartfinancialcenter.net. Support for Houston Public Media comes from Good Reason Houston, with the 2025 Houston Public Education Snapshot, tracking how Houston's schools are preparing students today for a living wage tomorrow. Learn more at goodreasonhouston.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste Diaz-Sherman and Ernie Manous.
It's a new year, which means many of us have already determined what our New Year's resolutions are for 2026. From achieving long-term goals to making promises for self-improvement, many of us use these resolutions as a motivator to improve certain aspects of our lives. However, these resolutions can sometimes lead to disappointment when these goals aren't accomplished or when we become too discouraged or overwhelmed to continue pursuing these changes. And joining us now to share his thoughts on how we can manage and follow through on our New Year's resolutions is Durrell Douglas, director of TEDx Third Ward. Whew, tripping up here. Durrell, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
Yes, welcome.
It's cool having you here.
Yes.
We were talking a little bit earlier about resolutions,
Yes.
and Celeste said she was going to keep hers simple. And I remember reading somewhere, that's one of the keys.
Absolutely.
Make it simple so you can achieve it.
Absolutely. You don't want to set yourself up for failure, right?
Yeah, right.
So everyone, if you're like me, you probably want to lose a few pounds or a lot of pounds.
Never thought about that.
Let me tell you, I
Right.
would love to have a 32-inch waist.
Yes.
But I also love Wingstop. Okay? Lemon pepper wings, all flats, fried hard. So it's like,
Oh my God, we're going to lunch
I
right
know,
after
that sounds
this.
delicious.
and so it's like, you don't set the goal to say you're going to lose 20 pounds. You set the goal to say, I'm only going to have Wingstop or fast food once a week. You set yourself up for success, something that is actually attainable. You want to change the habit, not aim for this mythical goal.
So how do you feel about the McRib?
You know,
I mean,
listen,
that's
I
been
used
the
to
big
tear up some
question.
McRibs, yes.
Okay, so I had set a goal last year.
Yes.
That I found myself becoming addicted to a particular place where I was shopping, and I was going there. Every time I would leave work, I would swing by and see what they had in their sale
Yes.
aisle. And I said to myself, this year I'm not going to do it. And I held it for a while. Slowly I found myself going back, and then more, and then more, and then more. And then I felt defeated, and then I said, well, next year I'll do it right.
Absolutely.
How do I stop falling into that trap of, as it creeps back in, saying, well, then I'll worry about it next year?
I think, with the beginning of the year coming, that's when all the resolutions happen. You can have a new month's resolution. You can have a new week's resolution. You can start on Monday, but I would say even more importantly than that, start the next day, right?
So you can always restart.
So you can always restart.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That it's not a do or die. Like if you mess up, it's over. It's about, starting over.
Yeah, but the mess up and you're over is because you really didn't want to do it in the first
place.
And you made this big, like, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose this weight. Oh, I ate that. Well, it's over this year. I'll get back to it
Exactly.
next year.
Yeah.
So a simpler way to do that even would say, next time I go to Wingstop, I'm not going to have the 20-piece. They have a 5-piece that would suffice.
Yeah, but why even go for 5? My God.
You're talking food. You're talking Ernie's love language.
Yeah,
here.
if folks want to join in this conversation, tell us how successful you are with your resolutions. We're already, what's the date today, Celeste? You haven't told us yet.
Today is January 6th.
If you've already failed on your resolution 6 days in, give us a call, 713-440-8870. Tell us what you do to hold on to these.
Now, Durrell, what about some intangible type goals or resolutions in that maybe being kinder or trying to be more of a service to others? How can people stick to those type of things where it's hard to measure that?
You have to kind of plan it out, I believe. So if you think about it, going back to food, when you go to a restaurant, you're going to have an entree. You'll only have dessert if you feel like it. Plan your dessert. Plan it out. So say what you're going to do. Set a goal. Once a month, you're going to do something, right? Once a month, you're going to volunteer. Once a month, you're going to donate and like actually flesh it out for it to become a habit. So there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
I was flying home and the person sitting next to me recommended that book.
Highly recommend, because there are actual tangible things that you can do that sort of allow new habits to form. So making your bed every day, you know. And another thing that's in that book, he talks about whenever I do this, I get to do that. Or whenever I do this thing, I will also do that thing. So if you want to make your bed every morning, then you tell yourself, when my foot hits the floor, before I do anything else, I'm going to do this. And then you sort of retrain your brain to set that.
Okay. But here comes my counter to all of this. I just saw a report on this on the news the other day, that we are hardwired not to make changes, that we are supposed to be impulse driven. That's what evolution has created us to do. We are fight or flight. We had to find food. This whole concept of building new habits over time is not in our makeup.
And I would sort of agree too. I think before making these big resolutions, are you doing it because it's the popular thing? Or are you doing it because you want to do it? Are you doing it because, you
think other people want you to be doing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it too, that you should only aim to do things that you are truly passionate about, and not because your husband, your wife, your boss, because that will fall off.
Durrell, what were some of your New Year's resolutions?
I have got to get off social media.
I think that's a lot.
As I pull myself out, I was doing a TikTok before I came in here.
But I think that's a big one for a lot of people. We look at I think even just tech addiction.
Yes.
It's a real thing.
It really is. And it's a trigger, right? So it's a trigger and it's a domino effect. So you don't plan to get on TikTok, but you get a text or you get an email or you get a notification. And next thing you know, you've gone down that rabbit hole because it's in your hand.
And it's a dopamine, hit, and so you get used to it, and it just continues from there.
What about rewarding yourself for good behavior? Does that help change behaviors?
Yeah. So, for instance, also in Atomic Habits, if you like playing the video game, play the video game, but only when you're on the treadmill. Play your game or listen to your audiobook that you love or your podcast that you love or Hello Houston that you love while while you're cleaning the kitchen.
I like that. I used to say when I would go to the gym, I would like run or be on the treadmill or on the elliptical or whatever, and I'd always have my music playing. Yeah. But if I had forgotten my music, if I had forgotten my headphones or didn't have my player or whatever, my player or my cell phone, I would not go in the gym because I wanted it to be connected, doing that work with something I enjoyed doing. And if I didn't have the music, I worried it would become laborious, and I wouldn't enjoy it. So I would say, today I'm going home because I forgot it. But what it ended up doing was that was a point that I looked forward to. I got the time alone with my music, enjoying myself, and it became a joyful thing to do.
Absolutely.
Now the parking's a problem at the gym, so I don't go. That's my excuse for that.
That's the problem. The parking.
That's why we're
the problem.
Yeah.
So if somebody is sitting here listening and thinking, you know what, I really want to stick to this, Durrell, what else should I know about my resolutions?
You should write them down.
Yep.
They should be concrete. It should be not something that you've thought of, just the act of actually writing it down and putting it somewhere that you can go back to and see it. So on the back of my door, going out of my apartment, I have sticky notes where I've put things that are goals. Goals are in yellow. Brainstorm ideas are in pink. So that way I get it out of my head.
You're way too organized for
me. Everything else is not, but this
mine is scribbled on a piece of paper somewhere I've lost.
But what it does is the next time you see it, after the thrill is gone, you know whether this was something you really wanted to do or if this was just a moment.
Mine is to be a nicer person this year.
Durrell Douglas is the director of TEDx Third Ward. Durrell, thank you so much for joining us today on Hello Houston. And that brings us to the end of our show. We want to thank you for watching, listening, engaging, and chatting with us today on today's show. We will be back tomorrow with more conversations. We're also going to talk with Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia about his plans and visions for 2026. This is News 88.7. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.